But in the end, we're going to make a lot of mistakes at Berkshire, and we've made them in the past. We'll make them in the future. If every shot you hit in golf was a hole in one, it wouldn't be, the game would soon lose interest. So you have to hit a few in the woods occasionally just to make it a little more interesting. We'll try not to do that too often, but those will be the kind of mistakes we make. We probably won't make the kind of mistakes, although we made one with Dexter Shoe, but we probably won't make the kind that cost us a ton of money. There'll be much more of omission than commission, I think you'll find in the future. Charlie, you want to add any more?
Yeah, at least we are constantly thinking about the past occasions when we blew opportunities. Since those don't hit financial reports, the opportunities you had but didn't accept, most people don't bother thinking about them very much. And at least that is a mistake we don't make. We rub our own noses in our mistakes in blowing opportunities, as we just did.
Okay, number 2.
How many hours per week on average did you spend with reading about companies? Thank you.
Well, when we were younger, we spent, probably Charlie compared to now spent a lot more time. I spent a fair amount more time looking at companies. But if we were doing it over again, we would do it over again pretty much the same way. We would look at everything in sight that we thought we could understand. And the world hasn't changed in that respect. There may be some more people doing it, but there are a lot more companies to look at now. And we would read everything in sight about the businesses and the industries we thought we could understand. We would look for things that jumped out at us as being very cheap in relation to value, and we would have one enormous advantage because we would be working with far less capital, which means the universe of potential ideas would be far greater. But there's nothing different, in my view, about analyzing securities now than there was 50 years ago. Charlie?
Yeah, we read a lot and we thought a lot. I don't know anybody who is wise who doesn't read a lot. And on the other hand, that alone won't do it. You have to have a temperament, really, which grabs the correct ideas and does something with those ideas. And I think most people who read a lot don't have the necessary temperament, and they grab the ideas or they're simply confused by the mass of material. And of course that won't work.
Yeah, there's probably something. Phil Cray used to talk about having a money mind, and I would call it a business mind. And there are people that are better with identical IQs that are better adapted for one than the other. And the temperament is all important. I mean, if you can't control yourself, no matter what the intellect you bring to the process, you're going to have disasters. And Charlie and I have seen one after another. That it's not a business that requires extraordinary intellect. It does require extraordinary discipline, and that shouldn't be so difficult. But as I look around the world, sometimes it apparently is quite difficult. I mean, the whole world went a little mad a few years back in terms of investments, and you say to yourself, how could that happen? Don't they learn anything from the earlier ones? But what we learn from history is that people don't learn from history, and you certainly see that in financial markets all the time. Incidentally, you mentioned books. Charlie, you didn't recommend any books this year?
Well, one book I really like, I couldn't buy because it's published only in England, but it'll get here in due course. And that's called Deep Simplicity by John Gribben. It's a perfectly marvelous book. And of course, that's a great title, Deep Simplicity. That's what we're all looking for.
I've been reading a short history of nearly everything, and it's very impressive to to read about people pondering how to figure out the weight of the earth or something in the 18th century. And you would think minds that could do that would do very well in financial matters. But, if you remember, Isaac Newton spent a significant part of his life trying to turn lead into gold. And he might have made a good stockbroker. But it didn't do much for him financially. Charlie knows more about Isaac than I do.
Well, and he lost an enormous
the bubble.
chunk of his net worth in the South Sea bubble. So he invested in an absolute crooked mania. And here was the smartest man in the world. So just IQ points alone won't do it.